notice I left this clip here, very important. This is your brake ABS sensor line. You want to make sure you keep that on there because when you go to put this back in the car, you want to make sure that this is facing forward. This will actually go in backwards, and you can put this in upside down, and you have to take it all back apart again. That's why I leave this ring here, so that you know that. And it's kind of a nuisance. It's sharp and it's in your way. You really need to do that. Take your boot, slide that up in there as tight as you can. Take your Zerk gun, like I showed you before. Put more grease in there. You want to load your ball. You'll start seeing it come out. You want to do this before you put it on the car, then that way you don't have an empty joint. 10 or 15 squirts is fine. Move it around a little bit, kind of lube it up. You want to do that before you actually load it, so you have some grease in there. It comes from some with the factory, but you want to make sure you have loaded really good. That's it. Okay, we've taken all the parts, pulled them off. These are all parts that we've just cleaned up, and I highly recommend you do that. It's easier to put things together, just clean it up with a little gasoline. But one of the most important things is this. This is smashed in. Now this is something that's going to wear right into your seal, so you want to make sure you straighten that out. So it's always a good idea to clean your parts, because when you do that, you find things that are wrong. So just keep that in mind when you're tearing it down. Okay, we're installing the lower ball joint. We need to make sure it's actually loaded up from underneath. So you want to make sure that you keep that spot for your CVs, for your Zerk fitting to come out the side. You can't put that on until you slide it up in. So right here is some Loctite. You want to make sure you put it on the bottom part, because when it seeds up in there, that's what you need. But on the top part, you just want to use some grease. That'll kind of help facilitate it going in. So just a little bit around the edge. Get that up into position. Remember, your Zerk fitting needs to go forward, and get that lined up and ready to go. Okay, take your joint, put it inside your clamp. Take your clamp, slide it up in to your joint. Make sure that Zerk fitting is forward. You don't want to put that in wrong. Okay, let's get this lined up. Maybe kind of a challenge, but get everything lined up in place. And then when you're snugged up, then you can hit it with your impact. Okay, as you can see, sometimes you're going to have to relocate this, move it around. Always keep your shaft lubricated. Just use some liquid wrench. If you don't, you can strip that out. Best thing, just kind of move it around and just watch this as it's going in. Make sure it goes in flat. You don't want to crook it or anything like that. So just be patient. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put this boot on. It's a pressed fit, so what you want to do is just lube it with a little bit of grease. This makes it easy to slide on. Put it in your pocket that you use for your compression fitting. Put that little fitting on the bottom, and then just kind of tap it into place. You may have to pause it and start over again. Okay, taking your boot, put it inside these little clamps that came with your compression tool. Put a little bit of grease in there, and then they just basically shove up there. Sometimes you have to put a little force behind it to get that in place, because they're a pressure fit. I put the Zerk fitting on. I'm going to load this joint. You want to always make sure you load them before you install the other end. So just start putting some in there. You'll see it start popping out, but I'm not going to go that much, just about 15, and you're done. And then you just got enough in there, and that's good. Alright, what we're doing here is we're working on our tie rod ends. We've already replaced this side. On this side you can see there's quite a bit of play in that joint, as over here on the new one that we've replaced. You can't even move it. So it obviously needs to be replaced. The way you get these off is you just break these loose, and then you take the channel lock, You put it in your vise, tighten it down, take a channel lock, and break it loose, and then just count your rotations as you take it off. Put the new one on the same way. This right here connects to your drag link. This is your inner tie rod. This is your outer. I've already replaced the outer. The inners are next. So I'm going to go through and kind of show you how to do that. Okay, we've got this locked in. Most vices in the middle have this centerpiece to tighten down for some round cylinders or something, so you can use it for that. And you just break it loose and just count your rotations until it comes off. It's usually somewhere around 30. So that's it. Okay, once you've loosened that all off, this one took about 33 turns. Pop right out. Make sure you note outer tie rod ends. Inner tie rod ends have the jack on the other side, the zerk fitting. Keep that in mind when you put it back together, as you won't be able to fill it with the tire on if you have it backwards. Okay, what we're going to do now is load the hub inside our new rotor. So you want to take your ABS wire, kind of run it through. You use 2 hands on this bad boy, it's kind of heavy. Slide it through like that. Take your stud, line it up. Take your wheel nut, and your wheel nut will actually kind of pull itself through. And that's basically how you do it. Take your impact. You're done. And once you get a couple of these started, you get an idea. You just drive this through until it bottoms out. You'll hear it. It makes an obvious sound. Go ahead and tighten them up the rest of the way. Alright, we lubed up all the bolts, the studs, with some liquid wrench to get all the deburs off. When these come factory, they have a silicone on them, so you want to clean that off with just some brake clean, both sides. And just wipe it down. Okay, it's kind of difficult. The best thing to do is to put your bolts in from the back that screw into your hub. Get everything lined up, run your ABS cord, and just lift it up and just try to place it the best you can, pulling your ABS wire through. You're going to have to wiggle your axle a little bit to get it in the spot. That's it. Yeah, as you can see from the inside, it's kind of a pain to line this up. You got this plate back here, your dust plate, your hub, and your axle, but just play with it a little bit and do everything by hand, and you can get it all threaded in. So always thread it in by hand before you hit it with your impact. But got all 4 of them good to go. So that's how you get your hub on. And then you put your lock plate, washer, and your nut on your CV axle. Hit with your impact, and you're done. Alright, now we're going to clean up our surface areas. All you do is take a wire brush on a wheel. Very simple. Just clean off the old debris, old brake dust. Just hit that. And the area where it's going to be riding on the spindle. Hit that. Very simple. But it's a good idea to do it, because in that way your caliper can slide good. You want to hit that area, don't be afraid to put some grease on it, and then here, and then the top on that side.